live 24/7 playing top 40 hits from the 60s through the 80s. You can find us on Live 365, Simple Radio, Roku, Radio Garden, and even Alexa, as well as our website. Come on and join us on the Crooked River.
Welcome to Hash, Eggs, and Football, where we talk about this week's games as Monday morning armchair quarterbacks. Here's your hosts Erik, Nannarone and Pat Morrow.
Good evening.
Hello and welcome to Hash, Eggs, and Football Special Edition. I'm Erik.
And I'm Pat.
Today we have two guests.
Two of
Dale
them.
Miracle, who y'all know from Radioactive, Sunday nights, 7 to 9, and Chase, who today we're talking cryptocurrency. And I thought I'd have him on because he can give you a lot more information than just playing videos and then talking about them. So, without further ado, we start. So, like I said, we're talking cryptocurrency. So, Chase, if you could just kind of explain what cryptocurrency is and how it works.
Yeah, so cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Cardano, Ethereum, you'll hear a lot of those names. It's a currency that exists in the digital space, and each coin only has a set cap of how many can be in circulation. The coins can be half, they can be in fractions of a fraction. You don't need to own one whole coin of your choosing. And that is partially the beauty of it. And the other beauty of it is, like I said, there's a cap limit on how many are in circulation. So if you're looking at it from the standpoint, like let's look at the U.S. dollar, for example. Inflation, as you all know, gas has been going up, everything, cost of living has been going up. This is all because there is no set limit to the U.S. dollar and how much is in circulation. They just print out however much they want every single day. So, you use Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, Cardano, any cryptocurrency, you could use those basically as a hedge against inflation, and that's what I've been doing the past 4 years, going on 5 now. My favorite strategy is the dollar cost average strategy. And that's where basically you set, let's say you want to spend $100 every week. That's your set amount. And I just buy, let's say I like Bitcoin, and I just buy $100 worth of Bitcoin every single week, no matter what the market does, whether it goes up or down. I feel like that is my favorite strategy when investing in it. But it does have real world use cases as well. The nice thing about cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin is the world's global currency, and it will be the first of its kind once all these governments start backing it, like El Salvador has. I don't know if you guys heard about El Salvador, but they use the Bitcoin standard now. That's their main currency that they use down there. Did you ever look into that?
But the thing is with that, other countries like China are banning it, and so it'll never be a whole world like every country in the world will use it because countries are banning it. Like, isn't that true? Like,
So that you're definitely correct. Now, since I've been in the crypto space since 2017, China's had a love-hate relationship with Bitcoin. As you know, they're communists, so they don't really like it when they have financial freedom, when their people has financial freedom from the government. So that's why you see this banning happening in China, and it's usually this time of the year, December, January-ish, that China usually debans Bitcoin and cryptos alike. And then, towards the end of the year, that's when they ban it again. It's literally a love-hate relationship with China and Bitcoin. And like I said, that's all because they're a communistic country. They don't want their people having financial freedoms. They want them tied to their currency, whether it be, the yuan. They're actually going to make a digital yuan, though, speaking of which, and they're going to have their own Chinese cryptocurrency here in the near future. They've already been testing it out and everything like that. It's just, even if they don't use Bitcoin like El Salvador is, even if America one day, when we do have a digital currency, if we don't use Bitcoin as ours, it's still a good starting point for the world to have a set example of Bitcoin being used in countries like El Salvador.
Okay. What biggest question is, what's a smarter investment in the way of doing like regular stock market or crypto market?
Yeah,
or
that's
is it
that's a
still
great
both a
question.
crapshoot?
Yeah, they're both you're going to see manipulation wherever there is money. My issue, I've never been into stocks, my issue with the stock market is you have a centralized entity in control of that market. Robinhood, for example, when GameStop was being manipulated, do you remember when the GameStop stock went up like insane amount? It was at the beginning of this year. It went up
Yeah.
something like 1,000 or 2,000%. Robinhood locked out all of its users that were holding GameStop, and they weren't able to sell it, trade it, or anything. Cryptocurrency, you can't do that. There's no centralized entity that can lock you out, telling you what you can and cannot do with your investment. There's no such thing in the crypto space. That's what makes it so beautiful, is you are ultimately in control of everything. You don't have to go through loops, nothing like that. You don't need approval from anybody, to move your currency from, let's say you like Cardano and you want to trade your Bitcoin for Cardano. You don't have to call a broker or anything. You can do it all yourself. And it's 24 hours, 365 days a year. It's never off. The market's always on.
Meet
And
Frank and
that's
Daniel.
wonderful.
One day they decide to go for a trip to Venice.
Oh. Did you mean to put that, Pat? Okay. But so the one thing is, which I mean is kind of obvious, but here in America they have figured out a way to tax it. I know somebody I work with who's into crypto too,
Sure.
and he actually one of my managers, and he was telling me that I forget the percentage. He said if you invest like 2,000, let's say, then you only will get a total of like 1,750, I believe, was his example. So that is he off in those in the taxing? Do you know how that works?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how it works, but because I have not ever taken out. I've never sold in the almost 5 years I've been in a cryptocurrency, and I won't sell because 10 years from now, I believe Bitcoin's going to be, hopefully $1 million plus per coin. But they're actually taxing you on profits. It's going to be the same. I'm pretty sure it's the same way that they tax you on profits with stocks. It's something 15 or 20%. They tax you on profits. I don't quote me on that. It might be 30%.
I think it is 20.
Okay, yeah. So, it might also depend on what tax bracket you fall in, but they're not taxed. Like, let's say you bought $2,000 worth, and then a year later you sold the 2,000. They can't tax you on that because you didn't make any profits. They only tax you on how much. Let's say you bought $2,000 worth, and a year later you sold 4,000 worth. They're going to tax you on the 2,000 profit. That's where the tax is going to come out of.
Okay. Got
It's
it.
very annoying because the government wants to get their grubby fingers into everything.
Yes.
They don't. They don't. You know, they don't give us any like reason to give them even more money. I mean, they tax me on, when I work, they tax me on income tax for that.
Hmm.
Going to groceries, they tax you on that. I mean, it's just tax, tax,
Yeah.
tax. There's never an end to it. Never an end to it. But that's something that honestly, when you do see all these governments like America figuring a way to tax it, that's actually going to make it more mainstream. You're going to see. You saw.
Is that a good thing though?
That is a good thing when it's mainstream. That means more money is going to pour in, but that's also a chance for manipulation. Anything can be manipulated.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
it's anything to do with money will be manipulated. Anything with value where people could be making money. So that's just something you need to look out for. But that's why I said though, when we're talking about manipulation, that's why I think, and I will live by it. The dollar cost average is the best method to fight against that because like right now, Bitcoin just crashed. Last week it took
Yeah,
a
I
huge
know.
crash, and
It's
I'm
been
getting
crashing for the past like month and a half.
sure. But come Friday, I'm still buying the $400 worth of Cardano that I have been doing the last 6 months now. It doesn't change my investment strategy as long as you stick to your guns, um, and you read charts and you do your research, then you'll be okay.
Okay, so you mentioned charts. What's the best way for people to get those charts?
Yeah. So when you look up the price of Bitcoin, what website do you usually use? Coinbase, I'm assuming.
Coinbase or crypto.com
Okay. Yeah.
also.
When I look at cryptocurrencies, I like CoinGecko. All those charts are going to be accurate. They're all going to be the same. But if you want a more in-depth statistical charting, you could go to TradingView.com and you can look up Bitcoin on there, and that's where you're going to see all your moving averages, whether it be your 30, 90, or 120-day moving averages. Those will all be up on that TradingView site. But like as far as Crypto.com and Coinbase, they're only showing just the price. They're not showing all those other statistical um,
Mhm.
reference points that you can use for the price.
Is there really a difference in like Cardano versus Bitcoin? Does one do something different?
Yeah, so when you're looking at Bitcoin, Bitcoin is a store of value. Bitcoin is, you need to think of it as gold.
Okay.
It's digital gold. I know I sound like a broken record. You've probably heard somebody say that before on YouTube or wherever you've done your research. But yeah, Bitcoin is gold, and all these other coins, um, like Cardano, like Ethereum. I'm gonna mention
Mhm.
Ethereum because Ethereum is number 2 right now on the
Mhm.
market cap. Ethereum is a different coin in the sense that it has smart contracts on it. Now that's when I'm
Mhm.
going into La La Land. Like that is very advanced stuff. Is when you start talking about smart contracts. Um, that's where yield farming comes into play, um, where you could stake X amount of Ethereum and you earn 5% interest, which is way better than a bank that gives you. What does a bank give you interest rates wise for a savings account, like 0.02% or something ridiculously low like that? Whereas like you have these cryptocurrencies, you invest in them, you could stake them, which is basically like putting in a
Mhm.
savings account, but on the cryptocurrency space, um, on these smart contracts, and you will get anywhere from 5 to 10% APY per
Mhm.
year on your
So
investment.
there's two that I want to specifically ask you about, and one I know you know a lot about, and then the one I've never asked you about because I just heard about. So we'll talk about that one. Sandbox. Have you heard of that, and what do you know about it?
I honestly haven't. haven't heard about Sandbox before. There's thousands and thousands of coins out there, so it's such a big space. If it has a good use case, whether that be banking, or maybe they have a marketplace where you can trade Sandbox coin for actual goods. If it has a good use case, then it's a solid coin, in my opinion.
I'm not sure where.
Where did you hear of that one?
My dad actually.
Really?
The guy who does IT for where he works was telling him about it, and we looked it up on crypto.com, and it was like ranked in the top 40.
Yep,
And then
that's what I just saw.
the other one, which was ranked 32, and I know you know a little bit about this one, Tron.
Yeah, Tron is the best way and the nicest way to put Tron is in the words is Tron is basically a knockoff Ethereum. It has smart contracts. It has NFTs. Do you know what an NFT is? A non fungible token. Those all live on smart contract coins like Ethereum, like Tron. Cardano will start to have them. Solana has them already. I have been in Tron, Eric, for years, man. I've been in that one for a long time. I still am in it. Like I said, I don't sell. I never sell.
Yeah.
The creator and CEO of Tron is Justin's son. I don't know if you have or haven't heard of him, but he's a Chinese billionaire, and that's where the China ban comes into play. Is when China's banning Bitcoin, Tron usually doesn't do too well because China banned Bitcoin. So and it's a Chinese version of Ethereum, basically. But if none of the Chinese can use it, then that's why it dropped to 32. Because way back when it was actually in the top 10 4 years ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Good to know.
It was in the top 10. That one you could also stake on the justswap.io unless you change the name. But you could stake Tron on there. You could even stake USDT, which trades 1-for-1 with the US dollar, and you could get 5% APY staking USDT coin on the Tron network.
Okay.
It gets really, really confusing when you start talking about smart contracts.
Yeah.
Just like endless possibilities. With these NFTs on Ethereum, Solana, you can literally play video games with the NFTs, and you could earn NFTs while you play the video game, and you could sell the NFTs for real money. That's where it all gets super confusing. Now, I like Tron in the sense that, like, compared to Ethereum, let's say you want to send me $500 worth of Ethereum, Eric. Let's say you want to pay me $500 of Ethereum for rent or something.
Yeah.
Ethereum's really bad in the sense that when you send $500 of Ethereum, they're going to charge you an extra $300-$400 in gas fees just to send that over the network.
Okay.
Extremely, extremely high. And that's why I don't know why all this hype is behind Ethereum. When their network gets updated to Ethereum 2.0 here soon, they've been saying that they were going to upgrade the network last year, and it just seems like it just keeps getting pushed back. They were going to update the network where if you want to send me $500 of Ethereum, for rent, it would only cost maybe 5 cents in gas fees, which is nothing. That's totally doable. Whereas you're sending me $500, you don't want to spend an extra $200-$300 in gas fees just to send me $500. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Not to cut you off, Chase, but I know kind of Chase and I have been talking back and forth like the whole show. Pat or Dale, do you have any questions or any input on this? Dale?
I'll defer to Dale.
Well, sorry, I was clearing my throat on mute. One of the things that I was always wondering is the brief discussion that Eric and I had on Sunday's show. And it's kind of interesting how you, Chase had already mentioned how they're, at least our government is taxing it, and they're basing it on capital gains, which is usually what is used to realize the profit you make from selling a possession, or what the government would call a non-inventory asset in legal speak.
Dale, could you come up on the mic a little bit, or turn your volume up a little bit? It's really light.
I thought we had that. All right. That one's all the way up.
Yeah, we can hear you a lot better now.
That better now?
Yep.
Yeah, you
Okay.
just about doubled in volume.
I thought I had that slider already ordered. Okay. Whatever. So, for realizing the, because anybody doesn't know what capital gains, it's what Chase had already briefly explained, is the, it's what profit you made off of something, not what you gained. It's basically a gain over what you already had. So if you spent $2,000 and you end up with $4,000, you're only taxed on the $2,000 because it took you the $2,000 to make the $4,000. And it's the same thing with like real estate or bonds or precious metals and stuff like that.
Yep.
What I find interesting, we didn't really elaborate on this on the Sunday show because we were signing off at that point. But like here, that would work. But when you, and I had to look this up because I can't remember all this stuff anymore. The thing is, you're talking about like inflation, where we're just going to print more money. Let me scroll down here. It says let's see. Okay, here it is. So when Satoshi, the pseudonym for who or the organization that created this, because nobody really knows who did this, is 21 million Bitcoins. There's never going to be 22. There's not going to be 22,500,000. It's only going to be 21 million Bitcoins. So now, excuse me, that is a set, set rate. So when a Bitcoin is lost or a Bitcoin is spent, that's it. It is marked on the ledger and in the system there that that coin cannot be used again. So that's, I think, one of the hurdles that we're going to have, since our country is moving towards legitimizing this, is some things that we have to have some problems with, because the main thing that people like about Bitcoin in specifics is anonymity. There's nothing tied to that. The only thing that you have tied to your Bitcoin is, if you're using an exchange, you have a public key and you have a private key in cryptography. And pretty much, if you do it right, some people do it wrong and they get their wallet stolen. But the way it's supposed to work is you have a public key that everyone can see, and then you have your own private key, and you think of that as a password to verify that you, or prove rather, that that is yours. And the only way you can do that is to present your key that matches the other key. We're not going to get into how that works. It's outside the purview of this discussion. But one of the things we have to come up with in order to make this usable is technically, if you look at fiat currencies in general, like what we have the US dollar, and I don't have any money to show this as a prop because I never carry money on me, but you hold up a dollar, that's not your dollar. That's just a dollar you're using as a token of you have a dollar. So I think that's not going to be a hang up for Bitcoin, because technically you don't have a Bitcoin. You just have a representation of the Bitcoin. So I think that's going to be something that people are going to have to wrap their heads around, because something tangible. It's going down the whole rabbit hole of the fungible tokens, or the non fungible tokens, which I haven't 100% wrapped my whole head around it, and I'm not sure I really want to. I don't want to waste those brain cells on that. So,
But I get, well, so what you're saying is, and actually, and if not, tell me. And I think a lot of people think the same way, if I'm right, is they can't wrap their head around the fact they don't have a physical dollar that they're paying with. They're paying with a digital token, mostly. Is that what
yes,
you're saying?
yes, because a lot of the things that I've read and have heard through podcasts and everything, they get hung up on the technical aspects. And of course, a lot of us are computer geeks, and a lot of this stuff we don't really think about because we understand it and we don't realize how complicated a lot of this stuff is to the normal average person. But the things I think they get hung up on is just that whole idea of it's not mine. And it's the same like I just said with the example. You have a $5 bill. That's not your $5 bill. So when you spend it, somebody in Montana that's getting change back from buying something is not going to look at this $5 bill and go, oh, yeah, this is Dale's $5 bill. He spent at the CVS in Ohio. No. But the interesting thing about it, to make this a durable currency, because that's another, when you actually look at fiat, the definition to fiat currencies is pretty much, oh, how do I explain this without going down a rabbit hole? Basically, for like fiat currencies, when a country wants to list their currency on a currency exchange, is scarcity, durability, portability, divisibility. And what that means is like we said, there's going to be 21 million Bitcoins. There's never going to be any more. So that makes any of them that are left over that haven't been spent worth more. That's why you see it in the exchanges. Oh, it's worth 40,000 today. It's worth 42,000 tomorrow. It's worth 50 the next day. It's not to go into the algorithm of how it works. And then durability. Well, durability, obviously, it's not something physical, so you don't have to reprint it. That's the problem with money, is it wears out because we're touching it. It's going through automated machines like bill takers and counting machines and stuff. So eventually it's going to wear out. So that's not going to be a problem. And then the problem of divisibility isn't the problem, because it automatically does that. If you want to spend $10 on a pizza using Bitcoin, you're going to use 0.0000000000001 of a Bitcoin or whatever, and it automatically calculates it for you. And so I just think the main things that we're going to have to make it a currency that is used amongst excuse me, amongst all the countries is a way for them to tax it, and tax it in a way that is fair. But of course, in our country, nothing is ever fair, because you ever look at our tax law, we have capital gains, we have income tax, we have charitable taxing, we have inheritance tax, and we have all these different, and they're all different tax levels. So that's just my uh, concerns or my thoughts. And I'm not sure if Chase would have any opinions on this or any rebuttals to what I have said.
No, those are definitely valid points that you made. I just want to clear this out of the air. When you do spend a Bitcoin, it doesn't vanish. Your Bitcoin goes to wherever you purchased it. It goes into that wallet. It doesn't get deleted. Now, if the Bitcoin is lost, then you're correct. It cannot be recovered and is out of circulation, which again will drive up the scarcity.
Okay. So I didn't mean to cut you off. So
No.
that's news to me. Okay, so when you spend it, it just, is it marked in the ledger or in the I'm blanking on the name.
No, ledger's correct. What you're
Yeah,
saying is correct.
okay, ledger. I was thinking of something. I was thinking of the exchange. So if it's marked in the ledger as being spent, mostly it's just changing
Possession.
of who.
Yep.
So there's nothing tied to it except for the chain of custody. So basically, it's
Correct.
saying, I send $10 to Erik, so now it goes from this hash to this hash.
Correct. So your $10 worth is going to go. It's going to say Dale has $10 less now of Bitcoin in his or in his address, or whatever you want to call it, hash. And then the whole ledger will say Erik has plus $10 on his hash or contract. So it'll it'll show on the ledger publicly to everybody that has a Bitcoin that Dale sent Erik $10.
Now, this may go down too much of a rabbit hole for as deep as Erik wants to get into this, because
I wanted to get really deep, so.
Huh? You don't want to get very deep?
I did. That's why I brought Chase on.
Okay.
Because I wanted to get as informational as we could.
Okay,
informal,
then I want to propose this then, if it's not too early in the show here. Like I said, I come from this more of just being interested in cryptography, and I only started paying attention to Bitcoin rather, for the past few years, just because of its roots in cryptography and hashing, which people are wondering, hashing, and we're not talking about the food, obviously. Hashing is a computer math problem, basically. And Chase can correct me on some of this if I get some of it wrong, because I'm not that well versed in the how the coin works, but I do know how it functions, and that is, like, you have a hash, and it's basically, you come down to factoring primes. And if you remember prime numbers from your math classes, hashing basically changes a sum of digits of any length into a set length that can be easily compared. So it's factoring the primes to come up to a number that, when added together, creates a new number. The thing is, you can't go backwards. Once it's hashed, it can't be reversed very easily. Well, that's where this Bitcoin comes in, to where they have mathematical calculations that they have to solve and you're in a competition, and this goes into the weeds of let me look this up: proof of work versus proof of stake. And basically, proof of work is basically the same thing we did in math class, where you had to give the professor, all 15 pages of your notes to prove that you came up with this answer. It's the same thing with the computers. They have to do all these calculations to come up to the answer, and it's basically a big competition, because the algorithm knows the answer, and it's up to the competing nodes, and that can get into another thing of weeds, where it could be 400 computers behind this node, or it can be one person's computer, and they will submit their solution. And then it'll send out that answer and saying, is this correct? And then the other nodes will go, yes, this is correct, and it's added to the blockchain, and then that node is awarded that blockchain, or that Bitcoin. Now, when you get into the proof of stake, they wanted, let me scroll down here to refresh my memory. It's more of a participation system, where, like in the proof of work, the one that did it wins, and it pretty much is given the coin. Well, in the proof of stake, it's more of how much that node has participated, and how much coins it has determines the how it can determine the what I'm thinking of, the answer to the problems. It's sort of like decentralizing the decentralization. I hope any of this made sense.
Yeah. Okay, question for Chase, and this also kind of has to do with your viewpoint coming from the career that you're in. How secure is cryptocurrency? Being the fact that you kind of know a little bit about cybersecurity, um, basing that's kind of what you've studied. So, how safe from the cybersecurity side is crypto?
Well, it's it's extremely safe if you're talking about uh, cryptocurrencies in general. Now, um, if you're talking about what Dale was talking about, how people have gotten their private keys stolen, that is more people just falling to social engineering traps. That has nothing to do with the cryptocurrencies being used. That is just people just being targets. Um, I'm a cybersecurity professional over at Altman currently, so I do have a little bit of experience uh, with cybersecurity studies, and you can't. The beautiful thing is you can't, like, if I don't have your private key or anything, I can't make you send me money. I can't just go up on the ledger and erase Eric's balance of 100 Bitcoin. I can't just go up on the ledger and erase that and then write 100 by my name up on the ledger. You can't steal any coins that way. When you hear of people losing cryptocurrencies being stolen, this is a false narrative. Those are people that are foolishly leaving their money on exchanges without multi-factor authentication. They're using the same password that they use with their Gmail account, that they also use with their Microsoft account, that they also use with their Spectrum account. So when you hear about cryptocurrencies being stolen, it's a false narrative. um, it it damages the look of crypto, and this is where you get kind of dicey, is because cryptocurrencies are decentralized. There's no centralized man controlling the transactions, controlling how much is printed. That's the issue. Let's say somebody did steal your private key, right? and they sent your your 100 Bitcoin over to their wallet, there is no centralized person that can literally override that person's wallet, grab it, and pull back into yours. So that is where it kind of gets a little bit dicey. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no centralized person, there's no one controlling or that can override the control of a coin being sent. So that's where it relies literally on the individual to keep their coin safe. Now, if you're talking about the future here, I see in the near future that the banks are going to hold your private keys for you, which is going to be great because that adds a little bit of centralization. You know, like you'll be able to go to Chase Bank, tell them, hey, I want to send, 50 Bitcoin over to this guy. They're going to say, okay, provide us with your identification, your two-factor authentication code as well, and we're also going to send you a numeric code on your phone, and you're also going to have to present that to us, and that's how that transaction will take place. So in the near future, you're going to see banks and other financial institutions holding your private keys for you. So you'll see, with time and adoption, things like that will literally be a thing of the past.
Well, I got
Okay.
a quick question, if you don't mind, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
For Chase, I think this is just because of my interest in cryptography and private key cryptography, and having it better to keep your own keys private and only sharing public keys, or in the sense of like using a Google Drive, encrypting something with Veracrypt, or trying to remember what the current thing is, because I think it's not Veracrypt. But anyways, using a like a Lux encryption um, is you use the example of the banks holding the keys. I think it'd be better if the banks held the private key, and if you ever wanted to get money out, like physical fiat currency, that you would come with like a USB key or like a YubiKey. It's like a security token,
Sure.
and you have your key stored on the YubiKey. And basically, I don't have my YubiKey. I got home Saturday and I haven't really unpacked it anything yet. But this again, an idea of like what a YubiKey looks like. If I get like a basically like a thumb drive, it basically looks just like that, and it's right once. You put your key on there and you can't remove it. And the only way you can change that key is you override it with another key. I think walking into the bank and doing it that way would be a much better idea. But this is also going to come down to the big argument that we're going to have, or not argument, but the big debate we're going to have with the banks is who has that. And
Sure.
I think that the public key is what the bank should have, and I hold on to my private key, because the opposite is what we have right now, where you see the problem where these celebrities are getting their iPhones hacked and getting pictures and stuff stolen off of them, is because we're doing things in reverse. Apple has the private keys, and
Sure.
when they are pressed, they turn them over to law enforcement.
Yeah. So my only, this is all hypothetical, obviously, because banks aren't having cryptocurrencies. They're not holding our cryptocurrencies for us yet. But the issue with that, and the other side would argue, Dale, what happens when grandma loses her private key, her USB key? All of her money's vanished. That's where that issue comes into play. So, I mean, you put up a very good point though, with bringing the private key in to do the transaction. I do think that's a great idea. Obviously, we're just brainstorming. We're ahead of the curve of everybody because the world hasn't even discussed banks holding our keys and our cryptocurrencies for us or anything like that. But I don't know, Dale, if you've ever heard of a Ledger Nano S or a Tracer wallet. But those, you know how I was saying, if you lose your USB stick, you're screwed. You won't be able to get your money back. The Ledger Nano S, you could recover it even if you lose the USB stick. It gets very complicated when you're talking about how it all works with the Ledger Nano S, but I think it's a great product. Whereas you are actually holding your private key, like you're saying, in a USB stick, but it gives you a little bit more of an insurance plan if that USB stick gets burned in a fire, if you misplace it and you never find it again. So that's just something that we definitely are going to need to think about. That's definitely something the banks are going to need to think about, and the governments are going to need to think about.
Good points.
Well, guys, we kind of have to put a wrap on this. But thank you guys so much for joining. I really appreciate both of you taking the time out of your evening to join. But like I said, we kind of got to wrap up for the night.
Yeah, we got about another 5 minutes or so. I do got a couple of questions myself. Excuse me.
Oh, okay.
Myself.
Sorry, Pat. Go.
As far as what you were mentioning there, as far as something disappearing, I thought of another scenario, and that would be if there was a small nuclear device set off in the atmosphere that would pretty much wipe out the electronics as we know them. Where would you be then?
Well, even if we weren't backed by cryptocurrency, if an EMT did go off and wiped off electronics, we'd be screwed right now. We don't even have a backup plan.
I'm impressed you came up with that term, Chase. That's exactly what I was thinking as an EMP. And
Yep.
that could not only happen by a terrorist, whatever, and there wouldn't really be a whole lot to do to make that happen. But the other place it could happen is you could get a huge sunspot directed at the wrong place on the Earth, and it would wipe us out that way. I've done quite a bit of studying on that particular subject. If they were going to do something to try to protect from that, if you, like any other security place, you're looking for security on top of security. You'd have to build and keep these things in what they call a Faraday cage, where they couldn't get ruined by
Yep.
by the outside
Yep,
stuff.
I definitely agree with you.
The other thing I was curious about is, and nothing was mentioned since I've been listening. Somebody like me, I'm retired. I got a little bit of money in the bank, and I'm living pretty much off of the Social Security and the wife's money and stuff like that too. We have a small family here. Somebody like me, what would it take for me to get started in something like this?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would tell you to go to Coinbase.com, create an account there. Coinbase is, unfortunately, they are the monopoly in America right now for cryptocurrency. They are the medium between your bank account and cryptocurrencies. If you sell cryptocurrency on Coinbase, they will directly deposit it into your bank account and vice versa. If you want to buy cryptocurrency, they'll take it off your debit card. So I would recommend that you look at Coinbase.com. They will need you to do a verification with your IDs and everything like that. But they are 100% legitimate company. And like I said, unfortunately, they are literally the monopoly right now in America. So they do kind of fee you a little bit. Like I think 5 to 7% when you do purchase. I can't remember.
I know I made the mistake of not listening to Chase when he was telling me do Coinbase, because you can also buy crypto through PayPal and Cash App. Well, I decided to buy a little bit of Bitcoin through Cash App. Well, that was a mistake. So
Yeah.
Coinbase definitely.
What kind of money are you looking at to get something like this started? And then
Yeah.
how much do you have to invest to get a decent return?
Yeah, so to get started, you could spend $50 and that's it. I mean, I've heard stories of people getting into cryptocurrencies where they put $50 in it, completely forgot about it, now they're millionaires. It's just
I've heard people say that if you don't put like 500 plus in, then you're really not going to get anything. So, is that true?
I don't entirely think that's true. Where are we at with the world population? How many people are on this earth?
Let me look that up.
I'm not sure where we're at.
Maybe about 6 billion.
I think 6. So if there's
That's just
6
a
billion
guess.
people on this earth, and we do think that, you do believe that cryptocurrency is going to be mainstream. Well, right now there's barely, like, I wouldn't even say there's 100 million people that have cryptocurrencies throughout the entire world. So if you start today, you're literally ahead of everybody still. That's how you make your money, is when you're literally ahead of mainstream. When you're ahead of, the 6 billion people that aren't in it, and there's only 100 million in it. Once those 6 billion people get into it, now all their money's coming in, and it's literally just, it's mooning, is what everybody likes to say.
7.753 billion.
The 7. Okay.
Well, Chase, how do you think that's going to scale for scarcity when we only have 21 billion Bitcoins? Because if you look at the U.S. Mint and how many dollar bills they have in circulation, where that dollar bill, from 20 years ago is only worth like 85 cents today.
Yeah, that's sad but true. That's really sad but true. Yeah, that's what you're mentioning. Literally, crypto is going to do the complete opposite. It already has been. Because like you said, there's a scarce amount, but you could also, if you want to spend $10 on a pizza, it's 0.000000001 Bitcoin or whatever. And maybe in the near future, that price goes down even more, to more zeros in front of it. I honestly don't know where it can go, because it's only been around since 2011. But if you look at it from 2011 to now, obviously we have exponentially grown.
One of my podcasts I listened to, one of the hosts was joking that they had bought a Pizza Hut pizza with a Bitcoin that he mined on his, I can't remember. I think it was like the first or second gen Core i7. And he said, grown man almost cried. His wife's like, "What's wrong?" And he says, "Do you realize that the pizza I bought 10 years ago would pay off our house and buy another one?"
Yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy.
Okay, so, big question is right now, is there any places that you could actually buy, like, big chain places where you can, or even locally, that you can buy, with your example, buy a pizza? Is there any pizza shops or restaurants that you can buy food with crypto?
Yeah, dude, that's funny you say that. So Litecoin has a credit card, or not credit card, a debit card. That's a Visa card. So you can use it wherever they accept Visa cards, which is essentially everywhere.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
good to know.
look up the Litecoin debit card. You can look it up on Google,
Okay.
and you'll be able to do some research into that. But yeah, you could use cryptocurrency right now wherever they accept a Visa card.
Okay. That's good to know.
Yeah, that's pretty game changing. It's been like that for like a year and a half now.
Well, you know what? I'm glad we did this show tonight because I think we've all learned a lot.
Yep. I do appreciate you coming in, Chris. Or I keep wanting to call you Chris. Chase.
Yeah, no problem.
And Mr. Dale, we'll probably see you tomorrow afternoon if you're not busy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I also appreciated learning some stuff from Chase. It's been a good hour.
So
Yeah.
Like I said, I really appreciate Chase and Dale both joining tonight. But tonight we kind of got to wrap up. We'll be back next week, 7 to 8, and just a quick plug for the rest of the shows. Tomorrow, 7 to 8, World According to Elmer with Jerry Sorensen and Pat. Saturday, Four Guys on Sports with Sean, Gordon, Nate, and Pat. And then Sunday.
That damn Pat
What?
gets around.
I know. He's just a
He must
pest
own this
that
place or something.
he's just a pest that doesn't go away. You know? Anyway. And then there's Radioactive 7 to 9 on Sunday nights. And just a little future. I think after the first of the year, we are switching nights. I don't have it set in stone what night, but we'll let you know as time goes on, right, Pat?
Probably Thursday nights.
Yeah,
depending
that's
on
what.
if
Yeah.
you want to add time.
Yeah, I think we're going to try to add an extra half hour, so it'll be probably 6:30 to 8 roughly. Yeah, that could change. I'm just giving a rough estimate, but we'll let y'all know as time goes on. But for the night, have a good one, everybody, and thanks again, Dale and Chase.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Oh,
At least I'll
later,
see you all tomorrow night, hopefully. Have a good evening, and thanks for joining Ash Eggs and football. We'll be rebranding probably after the first of the year too.
Yeah, that'll be all as one thing. Rebrand and change of time.
It's coming, folks. 7-3, y'all, and have a good day.